In the summer of 1720, a single share in one London company sold for about £1,000. 8 months earlier, it had cost 128. By Christmas, it was worth almost nothing. In between, an entire nation had convinced itself it was rich. The scheme at the heart of it was not some back-alley swindle. It was voted through Parliament, blessed by the King, and built to swallow the whole national debt of England. About £31 million turned into paper shares. The man who designed it was named John Blunt. He was not a con artist hiding in the shadows. He was the respectable architect of the most catastrophic financial machine his country had ever built. Stay with me. This film is presented for historical and informational purposes. Every figure in this story is long deceased, and every fact is drawn from the public record. If you enjoy these stories, consider subscribing so you never miss a case. The Company. It began in 1711 in an England exhausted by war and drowning in debt. A financier named John Blunt and the Lord Treasurer, Robert Harley, founded a new venture, the South Sea Company. Its promise was a monopoly on trade with the Spanish colonies of South America. But that trade was mostly imaginary. The real business of the company was something stranger and far more modern. The company offered to take the government's debt off its hands. Soldiers, sailors, and creditors owed money by the crown could trade what they were owed for shares in the company. Debt became stock. A promise became a fortune, on paper. For 9 years it simmered. Then, in 1720, Blunt proposed something breathtaking. The South Sea Company would take over almost the entire national debt of England, about £31 million, converting it all into its own shares. To win the right, the company outbid the Bank of England itself, and greased the deal with roughly £1.5 million in bribes to politicians and courtiers. In April of 1720, Parliament passed it into law. The Mania. The genius of the scheme was simple. The higher the share price climbed, the less stock the company needed to give away for each pound of debt, and the more was left over to sell for pure profit. So the company did everything it could to push the price up. And it worked beyond anyone's dreams. A share that started the year around £128 passed 300, then 500, then 800. In a narrow London lane called Exchange Alley, dukes and servants alike clawed to buy at any price. The fever spread. Dozens of copycat companies sprang up overnight, promising anything to anyone. To protect its own bubble, the South Sea men pushed a law through Parliament to crush the rivals. It would help burst everything. Even the greatest mind of the age was not immune. Sir Isaac Newton, master of the Royal Mint, bought South Sea shares early and sold them for a tidy profit. Then he watched the price keep soaring and could not bear to stay out. He bought back in, near the top. When the crash came, he is said to have lost about £20,000, a fortune. The line history remembers, whether he truly said it or not, is that he could calculate the motions of the heavens, but not the madness of men. By the height of the summer, the shares touched £1,000 each, nearly 8 times where the year began. On paper, a whole class of new millionaires had been born in a matter of months. But beneath the paper, almost nothing had changed. The South Sea Company still had no real trade to speak of. Its towering value rested on a single fragile belief, that the price would keep going up. It could only keep going up while new money kept pouring in, and by late summer, the buyers were running out. The crash. In September of 1720, the spell broke. The first holders began to sell. As the price slipped, confidence turned to fear, and fear turned to a stampede for the exits. The shares fell as fast as they had risen. From about 1,000 pounds, they collapsed toward 200, then lower. Every fortune built in the alley evaporated in weeks. Thousands were ruined, fortunes vanished, families were destroyed, and a wave of rage rolled toward the men who had built the machine and the parliament that had blessed it. The reckoning. Parliament turned on its own creation. An inquiry in 1721 found bribery reaching into the heart of government. Directors of the company were expelled from the House of Commons and taken into custody. The chief cashier, Robert Knight, fled the country with the ledgers that named the guilty, escaping abroad one step ahead of the law. A reward was posted for his capture. The directors' estates were seized to repay the victims. John Blunt, whose fortune was assessed at over 180,000 pounds, was allowed to keep just 1,000. The architect was stripped to almost nothing. It fell to one man, Robert Walpole, to calm the wreckage and rebuild trust in the state. His steady hand carried him to become, in effect, Britain's first prime minister. The South Sea Company itself did not even die. It quietly managed government debt for another 130 years. The lesson outlived them all. A real idea, credit and paper wealth, pushed past the edge of trust until it broke. Empires built on paper always burn. If this was worth your time, subscribe and stay for the next one.